All right, class. First off, as always, good day. I'm glad you're here. So, today's lesson is going to be just about the Fourth and Fifth Amendment. But the thing is, these are really important amendments. Um, like I've said it for years, if you're going to remember any rights, any amendments, you should really know what they say. It's the Fourth and Fifth. Okay. Uh, so, here is your warm-up picture. Now, some students didn't know, and I don't know if you know or not, but the NSA, if you look at that guy's hat, that is the part of the government that basically keeps surveillance on you. Okay, you, me, everyone else, people they suspect as being terrorists and some of that. So if you look behind him, there's a lady with her eyes covered. That's Lady Justice. Okay. Now, if you don't know this, the law is supposed to be blind. As you see, that's why she has a cover over her eyes. It doesn't matter who or what you are, things like that. You break the law, you should be punished. So no one is above the law in this country. And so knowing that, what do you think this artist is trying to say about the NSA and justice and the law? Okay. So think about it, write your response, okay? Because we're moving on in three, two, one. Now, like I said, these are only two amendments, but there's so much stuff into this. This video might go a little long because even in class, I really, really want you guys to know and learn what is in this amendment and how does it pertain to you in everyday life. And this really does, okay? So it says, the Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be secured in their persons, house, papers, and effect against unreasonable search and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, support by oath or affirmation the particulars describe the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Now, right off the back, the right of the people to be secured in their persons. What they mean by persons is basically what's in your pockets, your wallet, your backpack, things like that, what you have on you. Okay. That's what they mean by in their persons or in your persons. Um, your house, papers, effects, again, anything tangible, things that can be touched and taken. Okay. Against unreasonable search and seizures. Okay. So the cops just can't come into your house and be like, oh, well, you know what? We're going to take this. We're going to take that. We're going to take this into evidence. We're going to, look around and make sure that you don't have anything illegal here. They're going to bust through. They cannot do that. They need a warrant. Okay. Now, how are warrants given out? Thing is, the cops need to have probable cause. Now, this is probably, if anything, one of the more um, interesting things of what cops use to talk to you, their purpose for talking to you, their purpose for pulling you over, their purpose for doing a lot of stuff. It's a probable cause. Okay. Now, what does probable cause mean? Basically, like the reason to do whatever they're doing. Okay. They think this, so they're going to do this. So like some years ago, I had a student who basically said they were hanging out with their friends, and also a cop car drove by, and all of a sudden they circled back around to them. I was like, "What do you guys do?" They're like, "He's like nothing. We didn't do nothing." Like, you guys didn't do nothing. The cops just all of a sudden turn around. They're like, "Yeah, well, I mean, like so and so flipped them off." Well, see, now they got probable cause. Now they want. Why are you flipping us off for? What's going on? So they have now probable cause to come and talk to you. Okay. If that person had just minded their own business, not even really looked at them and just continue on with the conversation, the cops would have just kept going. But no, because that person had to do that, had to try to be Mr. Chingon in front of their friends, now the cops have a reason to come talk to them. Okay. Now, here's where things can escalate. Okay. Because if you, let's say you're starting to become a little confrontational with the cops, they're trying to ask you questions. Hey, how you doing? Where you guys going? What's going on here? And if you're like, none of your business, fool, what are you? Okay, now we have even more probable cause. Why are you getting being hostile for? Why? What was this attitude? What's going on? You know. And if you again do something like you step up to them, they could say, "Oh, now I feel threatened. Now I'm going to arrest you because hey, I'm feeling threatened by them. They know they're going to attack me or what." So I handled the situation, and it's all because of one little thing that this one person decided to do. It can escalate. Let's say you don't step up, but you're still giving them attitude, stuff like that. They can then say, "I smell marijuana. I smell alcohol. You probably aren't drinking. You probably aren't smoking." But now they can say that, okay? And that's where the problem comes, because they have now could use that probable cause to search you and things like that. And if they find anything, boom, look at now what, you know. And let's say they do find a little, like, let's say you have a little vial of alcohol. Can you have alcohol when you're under 18 or 18 or under 21? No. No matter how you slice it, anything you say, well, it's not mine. Well, why is it in your bag? Why is it in your pocket? Why is, you know, any way you slice it, you're not supposed to have it. Now they got you, you know. And why did it all start off with? Because that one person, flipped them off, giving them probable cause. Okay. Now, who signs off on the warrant? A judge does. Okay. Once the police say, hey, we have a reason we want to search this place, here's a reason why we want to do it. If the judge says, yeah, this is good enough, they'll sign off on it. Okay. Now, when the cops come to your place, they knock on the door and they say, we have a warrant, you have to let them in. Now, once they come in, the good cops will give you the warrant. They'll say, we have a warrant, here it is, and they'll hand it to you. Some of these, like, kind of bad cops will just storm in and not give you the warrant. You got to ask them, where's your warrant? Let me see the warrant. You said you have it. I get to read it. Where is it? Once they hand it to you, if you're the homeowner, or if you're not the homeowner, whoever owns the place or renting the place, they need to read it quick because on there, which is the last part, says the cops it's on the warrant has to say what they're looking for and where they're going to search. Now, this is where a lot of these cops become very shady in the sense because they won't say exactly a lot of the times. They won't say, oh, the master bedroom and that restroom connected to it. No, they're going to say the entire house on the property of whatever the address may be. Now, let's say there's a shed in the backyard or a doghouse or whatever, you know, they will then put in the writing because if they say the house on this property, they can't then check the shed if it's not attached. Same thing with like a doghouse or whatever. They can't check the doghouse because that's not part of the warrant. Now, can they walk by and like look really quickly and if they can see it? Yeah, they can do that. But they can't like open the shed and go through stuff in there. They can't crawl into the doghouse, like tip it over and try to find it. No, because they don't have a warrant for that. But that's also what I'm saying is they'll be very vague in the warrant saying anywhere on the property of this address, which is whatever your fence is that your address is. Okay. Because they want to be able to check anywhere and everywhere. The attic, closets, you know, everywhere. Drawers, things like that. They want to search everywhere. Now, like I said too, the warrant does say what they are looking for, what they can take. Okay. So if it says like any type of drug paraphernalia, things like um, things to make drugs, whatever it may be, they can take those things if they find it. Now, can they take your surround sound? Like, you know, unscrew the speakers up on top, and stuff like that? No, because that's not part of the warrant. Okay. Uh, can they just take like your dog? No, if it's not written down in the warrant, no, they can't take your dog. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Do the cops always need a warrant? No. No, they don't. Number one thing, a lot of students know this already. That's if you or somebody in your family has probation, they're out on probation, they're on parole, um, the cops can come anytime and check on them, make sure they're there. Okay. Because you have to remember, if you're on parole, you're on probation, you can't be on drugs, you can't be drinking, and you have to be within the state. So if they want to check at like 2 in the morning on a Wednesday, they can. Okay. They have the right to. And the thing is, let's say you're sharing a room with your uncle who's on parole or probation or whatever. If the cops bust in, they go to your room, they're gonna search the entire room. You can't be like, oh well, this is my side. We don't care. He could easily put that stuff in here too, on your side, you know? Unless that's yours, which you shouldn't have then, especially if it's illegal stuff, because now then they can get you and charge you. And then you're in a world of hurt, you know. Um Another way cops don't need a warrant is if they ask. And trust me, they will. They'll basically be like, hi, we're so and so, the officer this, officer that. Uh, can we come in and search your place? Now, some people only hear, can we come in? They say, yeah, come on in. But if you really listen, they say, can we come in and search your place? And you say, yeah, on those, a lot of the cops have body cams now. So if you try to say, I just said that they can come in, and they'll play it back where it says, can we come in and search the place? And you say yes. Well, hey, they said it. You said yes. So it's all good. You can't be like, oh, I didn't mean that for them to come in. You have to listen. Okay. The court's not gonna be like, oh well, this person didn't know, oh they made a mistake. No, the court's gonna be like, no, you confirmed, you said it, so the cops can go in. Okay. Now, um, this is another one that just drives me nuts. For some reason, a lot of you guys believe that if you're being chased by the cops and you go, let's say you're in the car and you drive into your driveway, that the cops can't arrest you. Or if you go inside your house, the cops can't arrest you. Like if it's a game of tag and the cops are going, oh, darn it, Ted. See, he got inside his house. Darn it. See, I told you we should have took that other, quicker route. Man, well, we'll get him next time. No, no, it's not a game of tag. They have the right to bust through your house. They have a right when you park into your place to jump out and tackle you and stuff like that. If you make it inside your house, they have the right to bust through the window, go to the front door, kick it down, and they have the right to search around, especially if they have you like say, hey, you had a gun, and also when they found you inside the house, the gun's not there anymore. They can search around the house because again, it's in connection with an arrest. Okay, so it doesn't matter that I made it to my house. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's not a game of tag. Your home is not safe. Okay. Another one is emergency exceptions. Now, like I told the class, when I lived in another apartment besides this one, another place, one of my neighbors used to cook meth, and you can smell that stuff. It gives off this really bad odor, and some of you guys may in your lifetime have smelt it somewhere around your neighborhood, one of your family's neighborhoods, things like that. But once you smell it, you know that smell. If the cops smell it, they can go into the residence and arrest those people. They don't need a warrant. Same thing with like if somebody's they smell sulfur. That's usually the smell of a bomb being made. If they hear someone screaming, help me, save me, they can bust through a house, because they can't be like, oh, well, sounds like they're having fun in there, or, yeah, that doesn't sound too serious. No, they can't leave that to chance. They have to go in and make sure that everything's okay. Okay. The last one is funny to me because it's called Public view domain. Basically, if the cops can see it from the road while they're walking on the sidewalk, stuff like that, they can arrest you. So, like, I gave the example. An article I read was some years ago was this guy was on his front porch, and he had like cocaine, and he was like chopping it up, some of that. The cops are walking right on the sidewalk, and they're like, "You seen this?" And they tell the guy like, "Hey, how you doing?" Like, "Oh, hey." They open the little gate and they're walking towards him. He's like, "Oh, whoa, what are you guys doing? You can't be here." And they're like, yes, we can. We're arresting you for possession of drugs, things like that." And he's like, "You don't have a warrant. You don't have a warrant." They're like, "Dude, we can see it from the road." You know. Um, Another one was, this is back when growing marijuana was illegal. Um, I don't know if you guys know this now, but marijuana plants can grow pretty tall. And what ended up happening was these cops were driving around, this neighborhood. They went through an alleyway, and the fence is right here. The marijuana plant is up here, so they could see the marijuana plant. And so, yeah, they basically went around to the front door, and basically arrested the people saying, like, "Yeah, you got marijuana in the back. We see it. You're not supposed to grow it." Again, this was back when it was illegal, you know. So, yeah. And like I told students in class, a person like that, if they got arrested, put to jail, some of that, and now that growing marijuana is legal, that doesn't mean they get out of jail. No, because when they committed, did that, it was illegal, so they had to serve their time out. Okay, so just because something all of a sudden goes from illegal to legal doesn't mean that their sentence or whatever is stopped at that point. No. Okay. Now, the Olmstead versus the United States. This was a court case that dealt with wiretapping. Okay. Basically, what happened was this guy Olmstead was planning to rob a place. He was calling his friends, like, "Hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to meet here, this and that," right? The cops were listening in. And when they went to trial, they said, "Yeah, we wiretapped his phone." He tried to say, "Well, you violated my Fourth Amendment right." The Supreme Court basically said, "No, they didn't." Because if you look at the Fourth Amendment, it says the person, house, papers, and effects can't be taken. How can you take a conversation? There's no way you can physically grab a conversation and take it with you anywhere. So for years, cops didn't need a warrant to wiretap your phone. Okay. And it wasn't until Katz versus the United States in 1967 that another Supreme Court case went to them, that one, Katz versus the United States, and a different Supreme Court group was there. And when the guy said, "Hey, they violated my Fourth Amendment rights," basically doing the same thing as the Olmstead, that Supreme Court said, "Yes, yes, those cops did take something from you. They took your privacy. The conversation between two people is private, especially when they're in their own residence. They're in their own home and stuff like that. The cops just can't tap your phone and say, 'We're going to listen in.'" Okay. Um, so that's what I'm trying to say to the students in class and to you right now. The laws can change from no to yes and yes to no. So that's why you really need to listen and focus and pay attention to the laws being passed today, because they can affect you. And you might be like, "Well, I was told that this law meant this and this law meant that." And necessarily, no, it's not true. It changed, and it happens all the time. Now, the Fifth Amendment is pretty big, right? But there's a lot of stuff to it too. It says no person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury. Basically, if let's say you're being charged with like 30 murders, right? You go before a grand jury. Now, grand jury is not like a regular jury that they hear arguments on both sides, they hear all the details, things like that. No, they just basically hear the overall case from the prosecution, the defense, and then they basically go over the evidence, you know. So if someone's being charged with like 30 murders and the prosecution only has two pieces of evidence, the grand jury is going to be like, no, this is not enough to prosecute them for all 30 crimes. Maybe if you come back for like one crime or two crimes, sure, you know, but 30 with only just two pieces of evidence, that's not going to fly. Okay. Now, this next part is one of my favorites when it comes to this amendment. It says, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Basically, what that means is, let's say you go rob a liquor store on January 1st, 2025, right? Let's say you get arrested for that crime. Um, you get arrested, you go to trial, you're found guilty, you do the time, you go to jail, do the time, right? You get out. Right when you get out, the cops cannot arrest you again for the crime of robbing that liquor store on January 1st, 2025, because you already served the time for it. You've already paid your debt to society, you know? Now, if you, let's say in the future, rob that same liquor store on January 1st, 2030, then yes, they can charge you for that crime because it's a totally different crime at a totally different time, you know? Now, there was a movie called Double Jeopardy, which was really, really good. It played with this idea. Basically, this lady was she was framed with for killing her husband, right? So she was charged, she had a trial, she was found guilty, you know, she went to jail. And while she was in jail, she found out that the husband was still alive, that he faked his death. So when she got out of jail, she went hunting for him. And when he's like, "Well, hey, you can't kill me. You know, you're gonna go to jail and this and that." No, no, because think about this: how can you kill the same person twice, right? Think about it. So she could literally kill him in front of a ton of cops, and the cops can't. They can't stop her. Really can't, because again, he's supposed to be dead. And how can you charge somebody with killing a person who's already dead? She already served her time in jail. She already paid for that crime. You know. So a student in class goes, "Well, is there anything the cops could get her for? Maybe brandishing a weapon in public. Maybe. But if she kills him, shoots him in the head, and he dies, they can't charge her with murder because she's already been charged with murder of him." All right. Now, the next part says, "No, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself." This is where the famous thing, the fifth, I plead the fifth, you know, Dave Chappelle's little comedy skit. Now I plead the fifth. This is where it comes from. Um, Basically, when you're in court, you know, for a charge for whatever crime, you don't have to take the witness stand if you don't want to. A lot of lawyers will say, "Don't take the stand. Don't take the stand." You know, because not only if you take the stand, you not only are going to have to answer your lawyer's questions, which are going to be nice softball answers, but the prosecution gets to ask you questions. And if you decide, "Oh, I'm not going to answer their questions," you will get into real big trouble with the court. You know, you just can't say, "Oh, I'm going to answer my lawyer's questions. I'm not going to answer the prosecution's answers. Not answer their questions." You're going to get yourself into bigger trouble. Okay. So that's why a lot of lawyers are like, "Yeah, don't take the stand." You know, especially if you have a temper, they really don't want you to take the stand because if you're being charged for like assault or any type of violence, the other lawyer will try to get under your skin and be like, No, I'm not asking you to explain. Give me a yes or no answer. That's all I'm asking for. Can you do that? Is it that hard?" And if you get angry and start lashing out at them, you're just showing the jury that, yeah, if you're lashing out at this lawyer like that, then maybe you did attack that person. Maybe you did kill that person. Maybe you did do this crime of injuring people and things like that. Okay. The next part says, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So, in other words, the court just can't take your life, take your freedom, or take your property. You have to go through the process. You have to be arrested, charged, found guilty, and then they can take your life, freedom, or property. Okay. They just can't take it. The last part, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. So let's say you have a house in the future and the city says, hey, we want to take like 10 yards of your property to widen the roads or whatever. They have to pay you for that section of land. Now, let's say that 10 yards, I'm just throwing a number, let's say it's worth $10,000. A lot of times, cities will, instead of paying you just the 10,000, they'll pay you 12,000, 13,000, because they don't want you to argue it. They don't want you to be like, oh, it's not enough. No, it's worth the value of the house, of the property, and a little bit more. You know, you're happy, they're happy. You're getting a little bit more than what it's worth. They're happy because they'll get to start on the construction, some of that sooner than later. Um, Now a student did ask me, what happens if you say no? Well, what ends up happening is they'll take you to court and try to use this thing called eminent domain, in which they'll basically go to the court saying life will be easier on everybody if we're able to make this road wider, and they'll use stats, they'll use testimony, they'll do all kinds of stuff to prove that life will be better, traffic will be shorter, there'll be less traffic jams, all this stuff, right? And then you're at to prove that it won't be. Okay. And that's really hard to do, because especially if you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know anything else, you're just gonna be like, well, they're not giving me enough money. The court will be like, well, hey, they're giving you more than what it's worth. So chances are what they're gonna do then is say, yes, the city's right, and you won't get paid. Let's say instead of that $13,000, you'll probably get paid what's only worth the bare minimum, so like 10,000, if that's what it is. If they say it's 5,000, then it's 5,000. Okay. Now the next thing is one of the ones that really makes me scratch my head, because I've had a student last year who just really ticked me off because they didn't understand it. They didn't want to understand this, and I'm like, I'm trying to help you here in the future, just in case you ever do get arrested. Miranda versus Arizona. Basically, the police have to read you your rights prior to being charged and questioned. Now, I don't know where people get this idea that if the cops don't read you your rights, you get away free right there and then. No, that's not how it works. Okay? What happens is like this: the cops will come to you and say, so and so, you're being arrested, charged with the murder, the assault, um, the aiding and abetting, whatever it may be. And then they'll, you know, take you in. Now, usually they'll tell you your Miranda rights right there and then. But just in case they don't, you keep your mouth closed. You do not be like, hey, you haven't read me my rights. Because guess what they're going to do? They're going to read you your rights, and now they're covered. Okay? You keep your mouth closed. You go inside the car. You don't fight them. You don't do any of that stuff. You just get in the car if they still haven't read you your rights. They'll take you to the police precinct. They'll maybe question you. They might put you in a cell first, just whatever happens first. Once they start questioning you, all you got to say is, I want to speak to my lawyer. I want to speak to my lawyer. Once you're able to speak to your lawyer, I mean, you can get the dumbest lawyer there is. This is law 101. Okay. All you got to tell them is, I wasn't read my rights. Now, you are then going to be arraigned. You're going to go before a judge. The judge is going to have like your paperwork right there and be like, okay, so you're being charged with this and this and that. How do you plead? Your lawyer will then basically say, Your Honor, before we continue, I'd just like to point out that my client hasn't been read their rights. The judge will then look through the file because there's the paper you have to sign saying, yes, I, understand my rights and stuff like that. And they'll look around like, where is it at? They'll look to the prosecution. Where's the paperwork at? Saying that this person signed that. They're going to be like, well, we don't have it. The cops, they didn't, we don't think they did it. If they did, they didn't give it to us. And then from there, that's when the judge will say, well, if there's they did not read this defendant person their rights, we can't charge them. And then the court will let you go, not the cops. Okay. So if you ever get in that situation, keep your mouth closed. Okay. Now here's the Miranda rights. This is the script that they have. The cops have it. Some of them have it in their wallets, some have it in their little badge area. And it says, you have the right to remain silent. They tell you right from the get-go, keep your mouth closed. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Again, a lot of these cops have that uh, body cam. So if you say something, threaten them, saying stuff like, oh, I hope your family gets killed, things like that, they can use that in court. And if you try to say, well, I never said that, I wasn't talking to them, they have it right there on the cam. Doesn't matter if you were talking to them, you said it. And now, I mean, who else are you going to say that to? So, and the court's not a fool. They're not idiots. So you try to justify it or try to BS your way out of it, it's not going to work. And you're just making things worse for yourself. Okay. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be provided for you. That's the public defender. Now, this is where I was saying this former student was really ticking me off because, oh my God, it was irritating to me. The next thing they're going to tell you is this: do you understand the rights I have just read to you? Now, if you do really understand what they're saying, you have the right to remain silent, anything you say is going to be used in court, and you have the right to an attorney, and if you can't buy one, they'll give you one. If you understand that, then when they ask you that, do you understand the rights I've just read to you? Then you say yes. Okay? By saying yes, you are not admitting to guilt. That's what this kid was really not getting. Like, oh no, I'll say no. I don't get it. No, no. I'm not saying nothing. No. I'm like, dude, just by saying yes to it, you're not admitting guilt. You're not saying you're just saying, yes, I understand my rights. No, not F that. I ain't saying this. I ain't saying nothing. I'm saying no, no. And that gets to another point where students ask, well, what happens if you say no, you don't understand? Well, guys, they have another script that's simplified and they'll break it down for you. And if you keep saying, no, I don't understand, they'll read you another one. No, I don't understand. You keep going. They have a certain amount of number. Now, basically, what they're going to do then is like look at your file and be like, does this person have any mental disabilities where they truly can't understand what these rights are, even though we've gone from the standard to the simplest version we got. Um, Now, a student has told me in class, well, I have an IEP, I have a 504. Okay, I understand that. I get that. But those IEPs and 504s are about education, like your reading, your math skills, stuff like that. You're not reading nothing. You're not doing any type of math, you know. That's the thing. Those plans say that kind of stuff on there. It doesn't say like, oh, this person um doesn't understand key words like such and such. No, it doesn't say that kind of stuff. It'll say, can you comprehend at this range, at this range, and this range, which a lot of you guys can. You can understand at like an eighth grade level, a sixth grade level. You can. And those scripts, those simpler ones, are at that level. So if you keep saying no, 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 they can say yes, he may not understand the first level, but by the second, third one, yeah, they know. The court will then look at your paperwork and say, okay, yeah, they know. They're just being difficult. And the judge will sign off on it. Okay. So keep saying no doesn't mean, oh, you're going to get away scot-free. No, you're just making, again, things difficult for yourself. Now, the last part I will say, when it says, with these rights in mind, do you wish to speak to me? That's where you say no. Even if you do want to say something, say no. Okay? Never talk to the authorities without your lawyer, without your, if you're under 18, without your parents present. Okay? But if you're 18 or older, get a lawyer, public defender, whoever. Get them there. Okay? Talk to them first, and then if they say advise you, yeah, you should, this is what you should say to the cops, yeah, you should tell them whatever you're going to tell them, then fine, that's under their advice. But just to say things, um no. Okay, talk to a lawyer first. uh Now, like I said, this lesson was long. I do apologize, but again, this is important stuff. You need to know this stuff, guys. Now, I don't know what your future holds, but the thing is, I want you to be prepared just in case. Okay, because you never know. You never know when you might be in this situation. And if you just go off running your mouth, or you go off based off what TikTok or somebody who doesn't know the law, doesn't understand it, but yet they're just talking stuff, just because just because they said it doesn't mean it's true. You know, you got to listen to what I'm telling you, because a lot of those people that you guys follow and you listen to on TikTok, they don't know what they're talking about, and they will get you in trouble. Remember, you can't use that in court either. Oh, well, I heard it on TikTok. Yeah, you should have known better. Why are you listening to somebody who has no idea about the law? Why? Okay. So, with that being said, guys, hopefully you learned something new. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you keep this information in the back of your head, and that you remember these rights. Okay. So you guys, you take care, you be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Okay.